everyone, my name is Joyce, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys about David and Goliath. Okay, to start with today's lesson, I'm going to read a book called David and Goliath. And while I'm reading, I want you to think about this question in your mind. Can young David win against a giant? Read the story of David, the shepherd boy who fights the mighty giant Goliath. Here you go. David and Goliath by Catherine Soley, illustrated by Simona Sanfilippo. One day, young David was looking after the sheep when he heard his father calling. "Take this bread and cheese to your brothers," said his father. David's 3 older brothers were away fighting in King Saul's army. Taking the bundle, David set off at once. King Saul's army was camped on the hillside. On the other hillside, the Philistine army had gathered. It was an amazing sight. David searched among the lines of Saul's soldiers. He soon found his 3 brothers. Just then, a giant soldier stepped forward from the Philistine army. He was so tall he towered over everyone else. He roared, "I am Goliath, tall and mighty. Who is brave enough to fight me?" Not one of King Saul's soldiers replied. They were all afraid. The soldiers talked among themselves. "The king will give a big prize to whoever kills the mighty giant Goliath," they said. "What's going on?" young David asked his brothers. "Nothing to do with you," they said. "You're just a boy. Go home and look after the sheep." But David did not go home. He went to see King Saul in his tent. "I will fight the giant," said David. "I've killed a lion and a bear that tried to attack my sheep," said David. "I was not afraid because God looked after me." "But you're just a boy and he is a mighty giant," said the king. King Saul gave David a helmet, armor, and a sword. David put them on. They were much too big. "I can't wear these," he said. "I'm not used to them." Clink, clink. He took them off again. Instead, David took his sling in his pouch and went down to the stream. There he found 5 smooth stones and put them in his pouch. "My sling was all I needed to fight the lion and the bear," he thought. "God will look after me." David went down to meet Goliath. The giant towered over him. He roared, "I am Goliath, tall and mighty. Who is brave enough to fight me?" "I am," answered David. "Will you fight me with that stick?" sneered Goliath. Goliath was angry. Goliath lumbered towards David. David grabbed a stone from his pouch and he put it in his sling. David waved his sword in the air. David let the stone fly through the air. The stone hit Goliath in the middle of his forehead. He crashed to the ground. Crack! King Saul's army cheered. "The mighty Goliath is dead," they cried. The Philistine army ran away, chased by King Saul's soldiers. Young David was a hero. The end. Thank you. Now, did you guys think about the question I asked you? Can young David win against a giant? So think about it. A giant is so big, but young David is really young and short, right? So our main question is, can young David win? Can young David win against a giant? Alright, so this is our main question. So over here I have Justin to help me. Okay, so Justin's gonna help me answer some questions. So after we read that book, our question is, can young David win against a giant? What do you think? Yeah, right? But why did that happen?
Because David likes God.
So David trusts in God, right?
Yeah.
And then the answer is that David trusts in God, right? So because David trusted in God, did God help him? Yeah, right? Yeah, so that tells how mighty God is. It's not like God just tries to help him, but if we really look at God, he's more mighty, right? So in another book I read that we basketball players, like they're really tall, right? Like it's almost like a giant. They can only hold a basketball, but God can hold the whole universe using his palm. So that means that David is a really good shepherd boy, right? Right? So I'm gonna make a chart. So come see David. So tell me 4 things that David are, Justin. David is very young, right? Yeah, right? So David is very young, right? And who does he trust?
God.
Good. So trusts in God. Right? So we're going to take a break from David and we're going to look at Goliath. Wait a second. Goliath. Now, is he very young? No. He's a giant, right? He's very tall, and he is a giant, basically, right? And what did David use to fight? A sling. That's called a sling. But what did Goliath use? What? A sword, right? Sword. Right?
Yeah.
Now, anything else? David is what kind of people is Goliath? He's a Philistine. That's a long word, right? Yeah. Philistine. So Philistine people were from like the other part across like another part because there's a river in between. The Philistines came from the other part. Yeah. So Goliath is a Philistine. Right? So do Philistine people trust in God? Do Philistine people trust in God? No, right? So that means Goliath did not trust in God. Did not trust in God. Right? So, was David a better boy? I think, yeah. So we're gonna use pink, and we're gonna write a check on David, because that means he's a good boy, right? But let's take a look at Goliath. Was he a good boy? Was he a good boy? what, good person? Do you trust in God? No, right? So we're gonna use, let's see, we're gonna use black. We're gonna run an X because Goliath is not good. So we should not follow his example, right? Okay, so what is our lesson today? What is our lesson today? And then I'm gonna get Justin to come back. Okay, so what do you think our lesson was, Justin? What do you think our lesson was? What was our lesson?
About Goliath and
Yeah, but what did we learn from that?
Goliath was a child.
So I'm going to give you a hint. Did Goliath trust in God?
No.
So I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with God. God is very mighty, right?
Yeah.
So God is mighty. Right?
Yeah.
And then, so did David kind of like get the feeling, like ask God to help him? Did he? Did he? Yeah? No? What do you think? No? Are you sure? Yeah, so you can sometimes ask God to help you, right? Right? Because do you think if David was a Philistine and he was fighting against King Saul's army, do you think he would win? Do you think he would win? I don't think so. Because Philistine people don't trust in God, right? So always trust in God. Okay, that's good. Now we're gonna do some activities. Okay, and Justin's gonna come. Okay. So first thing, we're gonna make yourself big and tall, stand on your tippy toes, and also make yourself small and short. Okay? Pretend you're throwing a shot from a sling, and also pretend you have a sword. So, and then you have a sword, Goliath, right? The next thing, we're gonna join in a rhyme. Pretend to encourage joining in with, I'm Goliath, tall and mighty, who is brave enough to fight me. So pretend David is right across from you, and you're yelling, I'm Goliath, tall and mighty, who is brave enough to fight me. Okay? All right. So Goliath is 3 meters tall. Talk about how high that is. For example, as high as a football post or an elephant. Elephant is very tall. Okay? Okay. Name the colors of the tent. Look back through the book to spot the colors on other pages. Let's see. Ooh, this is a good picture. What are the colors of the tents? Yeah. Blue. Yeah. What else? Yeah, purple. Let's see if there's any other. Just checking. There's no other color. Okay, that's good. Now we're going to look at another question. Question is, find shapes and sizes. Describe the armor that Goliath is wearing. Use words such as hard, stiff, shiny, metal, leather. So, over here, we're going to make another chart. Okay, so we're going to use pink. How about that? So we're going to write Goliath armor. And we're going to draw a circle. Okay? So remember what words they told us to use? or you can use your own words. So let's take a look at this. That was King Saul's soldier's armor. Let's look at Goliath. How do you think it would have been if you touched it or you were in that time? Yeah, I think he was like kind of hard. So I'm gonna write that down. Hard and maybe a little too big for you. So I'm gonna write very, very big. Okay. And then what else do you think? It's probably made out of like iron or like gold. So yeah, and then what else? So I think it was a little bit like let's see. Like shiny, right? Shiny. So let's write it down. Shiny. What else do you think? What do you think it was made out? Probably like metal or gold. I think metal is good. Right? Okay, that's good. Now we're going to move on to the next question or activity. Okay. Listen to the sounds when you see the word on the page. Point and make the sound. So, for example, on this page, let's see. This page, when David tried the big armor for the soldiers of King Saul, it was like, it's too big for me. I'm not really used to it. And then it's like he tried to move around, and then clink, clank, clink, clank. And also when David hit Goliath in the head, it went crack, like, because a stone hit it. It must have been loud. So say it together, crack. Okay, that's good. Right, now you've read the story, what do you remember? So, these are questions. Who was David? Yeah, a young boy, yeah. Young boy, and why did he go to find his brothers? Ooh, let's see, the beginning. If you know how to read, then I want you guys to read it out loud, right here. Yeah. So his dad, named Jesse, told him to bring bread and cheese to his brothers, right? Okay. Now, where did David find King Saul? Let's see. Where's this? Maybe you can read on this page. Yeah, his tent, right? Okay, now, what happened when David tried the armor? Ooh, I think you guys should know this. Yeah, it was too big, and it went clank, clank, and it was too big for him, right? And then, how did David have the strength to fight Goliath? Oh, this is a hard one. It's related to our lesson. So, how did David have the strength to fight Goliath? So if you don't know, the answer is God, since David and his family trust in God, God helped him fight the mighty giant Goliath, right? And then, why did Goliath crash to the ground? Oh, that should be. Yeah, because David used a sling and hit Goliath with it right in the middle of the forehead, right? So he crashed to the ground. And what does the story tell us? If you're a little puzzled, the answer is we can face big problems if God is on our side. And how do you make God on your side? You trust in him. Thank you, guys.